harder this gets. Come on!
Okay.
Ready? Go!
You serious?
Well, it's come to this. I've got to apologize. It was bound to happen. I am so sorry for thinking Disney Star Wars had some sort of hope left. The last episode of Ahsoka dropped and it has left the fandom speechless. But was it an unadulterated disaster of epic proportions? Or was it an absolute masterpiece that saved Star Wars? Join me, dear viewer, as I dive back into the dumpster fire that is Disney Star Wars. The first season of Ahsoka has certainly left something to be desired. Pretty much every episode in this season was wildly disjointed in both plot and timing. The first 4 episodes were very slow. Dog slow. Once we finally got to see Grand Admiral Thrawn, my hopes went way up as Lars Mikkelsen turned out a pretty alright performance. Thrawn came out just as he did in the books, until the last episode. In the last episode, we see Thrawn making mistake after critical mistake. He could have stranded the entire lot of Ahsoka and her friends, yet he chose to dole out small hits without a defining blow until Ezra somehow stole an Imperial shuttle and made his way back to the Republic's fleet where Hera waited with bated breath. This was way too convenient for my taste. It stinks of bad writing. Ezra was able to steal the Imperial shuttle simply because the script needed him to. As for Thrawn's decision making, this too was wildly disjointed. In the first couple episodes where he appeared, he seemed to be a cold, calculated, and cunning military strategist. But in the final episode, he kept making mistake after mistake. So much for calling Thrawn a brilliant tactician. If the galaxy they're in is so remote and the planet is as desolate as they claim, just bounce, dog! Strand Ahsoka and her crew. It's not a definitive victory, but it is a suitable punishment for you to inflict. Also, why do they need to deorbit the ring ship? Why not just dock with it in space? This was entirely unnecessary and didn't make sense to someone with half a brain cell, which is actually half a brain cell more than the typical Disney Star Wars writer has. Oh, the Jedi are advancing more swiftly than expected? Well, maybe you should have bounced earlier and stranded them. I mean, this doesn't exactly scream good strategy. Dum, 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 dum. Rain down bombs and blasts that Ahsoka and her mates can easily avoid? Great strategy. Then send in some weak-ass stormtroopers that are easily dispatched? Splendid move. But oh no, the wicked witches of the Wild West can just make zombies out of them just because the plot needed them to serve a purpose, however small that may be. The zombie stormtroopers were equally as ridiculous. You have lightsabers, for fuck's sake. Just cut them in half. Here's a question. Why the hell did you let them in the castle tower thing in the first place? Dum 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 dum. Thrawn was making mistake after mistake, and it just didn't feel like the same character as the previous few episodes. Also, magical bullshit sword versus multiple lightsabers? Really? It seems that lightsabers can do whatever the story needs them to these days. They can be as weak as to not cause massive internal bleeding and lacerations, to being unable to stand against a magical bullshit sword, but somehow be able to behead a stormtrooper at just the right time. Wait a minute, hold on. This stormtrooper takes a lightsaber to the gut and just keeps going? Come on, I mean, really? There's just no consistency here. Who's writing this garbage?
And that's how the Book of Mormon was written. Dum 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 dum. Dum da dum 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 dum. Dum da dum 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 dum. Dum 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 dum.
Then the characters seem to be able to make ridiculous jumps simply because the plot needs them to, thereby supplanting decades of established lore for the writer's convenience. It's pretty comical that Ezra thinks he's Usain Bolt over here. Then Sabine just leaves her supposed friend who she's been searching for years on the ship alone. So much for camaraderie and friendship, I guess. The direction of this series was all over the place. I know these are all capable actors, but they're being obviously directed to act like morons. Hera seems to be the most consistent character on the show. Mary Elizabeth Winstead turns out a great performance, even though her husband Obi-Wan Kenobi probably got her the job. Nevertheless, Hera is played by a capable actress that can at least ignore bad direction and emote a proper response to seeing her long-lost friend, unlike Sabine and Ezra in prior episodes.
Ezra? Hi, Hera.
And if that didn't add enough insult to injury, we're treated to even more nostalgia bait when Force Ghost Anakin shows up at the end there. With no post-credits scene and a largely unresolved plot, we're left to wonder where this show is going, but also why it needed to exist in the first place. I'm guessing it's going to lead into Dave Filoni's new set of films, but why exactly this needed to exist in the first place is beyond me. The series didn't serve a purpose other than to show us Thrawn and ultimately ruin the character. It seems that Disney is starting to run out of characters to destroy, so they're going after the legacy characters from the expanded universe, which they themselves retconned out of existence. It's these sorts of inconsistencies that really ruin a brilliant opportunity to tell a good story. But there's the larger problem of the inconsistencies arising from all these interwoven shows. It's not just inconsistency in one show, it's across the board. The writing is really half-assed and not well thought out. At least with the original 6 films, George Lucas had a decent plan and made the universe and characters he created to be consistent. Once Disney took over, that's when all the inconsistencies started. Due to largely terrible writing, Disney has pretty much destroyed Star Wars. But will we even see more of Ahsoka and her merry band of morons? There's pretty much no word on whether there will be a second season of Ahsoka or any other plans beyond the Thrawn story portrayed in the show. It seems that Disney are hard at work bringing us more and more bags of suck with the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew shows. With the writer's strike now over, they've got to play some catch-up ball, so it'll be at least a couple years before we get to see Thrawn or Ahsoka again. Much has been said about the demise of Kathleen Kennedy, but it would seem that these final 2 shows, especially the Acolyte, would be the last straws. Darth Kathleen has escaped certain death on a number of occasions, so I wouldn't hold my breath. But what do you guys think of all this? Do you think Ahsoka deserves a second season? And what about Thrawn's future? Please do let me know down below in the comments, and as always, hit that like button, ring that notification bell, and smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.